Today I'm going to talk to you about the Homeoblock, which I have right in here, and then also a bite blocker, which I have in here. And I'll tell you about my journey of what led me to starting with the Homeoblock, and I'll tell you how it works a little bit. Just bear in mind, this is my first ever talking at you type YouTube video, so bear with me here. And I had a few drinks last night with some buddies from high school, so I might not talk as clearly as I should be, but I just woke up, so don't mind everything. This video is kind of unplanned, so we're just going to wing it. I'm probably making this video 2 weeks too late because I've been wearing the Homeoblock for 2 weeks now, and I could honestly say I already feel a world of a difference. So there's something with this device, and I think more people need to hear about it and talk about it. And when I look on YouTube, I actually don't see much of anybody talking about it. And I think this is something that can help a lot of people if you struggle with sleep apnea. I feel for you, first of all. I know what that's like. I've dealt with it for years. It's kind of like waking up hungover. Like me waking up today after a few drinks of, like just a few drinks with friends, like 3 or so. That is equivalent or even lighter than how I was feeling waking up with sleep apnea. I'd feel like I was destroyed waking up with sleep apnea. And so I feel for anyone out there who struggles with that. So people who would want the Homeoblock, people who struggle with sleep apnea, people who want to expand their airways, they might have a deviated septum, they might struggle nose breathing. You will definitely get immediate benefits with the Homeoblock device. And yeah, so we're just winging it. I guess we're doing this. So I'll just take this thing out, and I guess I keep talking about it. And here it is. That right there is the Homeoblock. And some people say it looks like a spider in my hand, which is fine. My mom got scared by it, but so that is the Homeoblock. This, which I should be wearing now, which I wear during the day, and looks like I could use a little cleaning of, is this is a basic bite blocker. I don't know if there's an actual name for this, but I got this from Laura Tirado, who works in the same office as Dr. Belfour. Dr. Belfour works through Laura Tirado's office in New York City. Dr. Belfour is the inventor of the Homeoblock. Laura Tirado works hand in hand with him. She's almost like his protege. I don't know how she'd feel about me saying that or how he'd feel, but I think they both seem pretty cool. Laura's been great so far, and so she had told me that during the daytime I want to be wearing this bite blocker, which works to not allow me to clench my jaw shut, because by clenching my jaw shut, I am holding my lower jaw back. So I'll do a quick facial profile since this is my first Homeoblock video here, and it's been about 2 weeks now. I wanted to do day 1 video, but I already look different in general because I had like way floofier, puffier afro type summer hair, and it's been hot lately, and I got a haircut in maybe 2 weeks, so I think maybe I've already seen some facial changes with the Homeoblock, but this is my face. Sorry about the lighting. Again, this is all kind of impromptu. Just kind of woke up hungover and said, hey, let's do this. And so this is what I look like now. I think I'm going to be making at least monthly videos, maybe not weekly. Depends on how much more you guys want to hear from me or how many people even care about this. But hopefully it gets some attention. Hopefully I help somebody out there. That's all I want to do, because this thing has been a game changer for me in only 2 weeks. And my head's all over the place, so I apologize again. Bite blocker, real quick. All it's doing is it's preventing me from clenching my jaw shut, because if you imagine this is my lower jaw and this is my upper maxilla, these are my teeth, they're kind of like holding my lower jaw back. So the bite blocker is open, like it's raising the upper teeth so that the lower jaw can start to come forward a little bit. And so that's my segue into the Homeoblock, because what the Homeoblock is essentially doing is that, geez, I hope I don't butcher this, and I'll talk about how the Homeoblock works in another video, one that's maybe actually planned out. But basically what's happening in your sleep is, while you're sleeping, I believe your tongue is kind of pushing up against your upper palate, like unconsciously. You're sleeping and you swallow in your sleep. And so you're pushing on your upper palate. And so what the Homeoblock does is, it's a device you only have to wear at night, which is pretty cool. I got braces late in life, and getting braces on at 27 in the U.S. is not as common as it is in some other places. But I was older, so I didn't want to start that journey going around with braces when I was just going forward in my career, and it was a weird time. But I'm fortunate for that, anyways. And I'll talk about how braces is what led me to have worse sleep apnea and what had led me here. But anyways, I was happy to not have to wear something all the time, because, with a retainer or something in your mouth, you sound like this. I'm not sure if, yeah, you guys could probably hear the difference, but that's it. Yeah, I'll figure out the lighting on the next one. But this Homeoblock sits on the upper part of your mouth. And so the idea is that when you're swallowing, the Homeoblock has these metal rods. Let's see if I can get a clear image there. Has these little metal rods there. And so as you're, can't really see it, I'm sorry. Again, there'll be better videos coming out. I could talk about anything you guys want to hear more about if you just leave comments and let me know. So there's the metal rods at the end of the device. And so as you are apparently swallowing, the idea is that those metal rods are going to lightly push out on your teeth, very lightly, because you obviously don't want to start bending your teeth out and have buck teeth coming out. So the idea is that you're swallowing, your tongue is naturally hitting the Homeoblock, which is on the upper palate, and then that pushes the teeth out. And so by doing that, you're slowly taking your arched upper palate and you're slowly starting to expand that. And by doing that, you have the added benefit of opening your airways. So one thing that led me to the Homeoblock was that I've struggled with nasal breathing my whole entire life. I grew up in a relatively wooded area, and I find out at 25 years of life, I find out, hey, you're pretty damn allergic to these maple trees you grew up around. Oh, okay, that would make sense why breathing was so difficult and playing soccer and running track, and so growing up my whole life, it really felt like this. Like I had one working nostril, and that was really difficult. And so I had a deviated septum surgery. And so that deviated septum surgery, it allowed me to see what decent sleep was like. For the first time in my life, I could actually breathe decently after that first nose surgery. And now my sleep went from absolute crap of 4 hours a night to 6 hours a night, which still is not great, but when you're very sleep deprived, any little difference makes a world of a difference. And so at 25, 26 years of life, I say, oh man, so sleep is pretty good. I started looking into, the best mattress and the best pillow. I tried all the sleeping pills, all the supplements, everything to improve the quality of my sleep, and it still wasn't working out for me. And after so long, I'm I had this nose surgery. I could breathe better. I thought maybe I would be breathing better in my sleep, but people were telling me I was still snoring horribly. I remember it was at this sort of local music festival type deal where, a bunch of hippies kind of crashed in the living room, and then I wake up one morning and one of the people is like, yo, who was snoring last night? You need to go see a doctor or something. And that's when I was like, I need to really look into this thing again. And so I'm like, okay, that I got my nose surgery around, I was 25, 26, and I'm like, this is like 2, 3 years later that this happens, and I'm like, it still feels kind of difficult to breathe. This is kind of weird, we're 2, 3 years out of surgery. I'm like, huh. And I start researching it. Apparently, people who get their deviated septum fixed often end up needing a second surgery. It's like, oh, come on, seriously? I already had one and I need another? Well, that's what I ended up doing. November of 2021, I had a second deviated septum surgery. So the first one, they kind of just burned down the turbinates. They put splints in my nose and they straightened out my nose. I know it's a big shadow on my face, but my nose looks relatively straight. Before, it was clear that it was like going off to one side. So the first surgery, they burn the surface area, they burn the turbinates there, and then they put splints in and straighten it out. So that kind of helped with airflow. It felt like I could blow my nose for the first time in my life. And that introduced me to decent sleep. The second nose surgery was where I thought I finally came on top of this sleep apnea stuff. And unfortunately, the results of that second nose surgery only really benefited my sleep for about 3 months. The second surgery, I went to a doctor in Boston who was amazing, Dr. Catalano. I can't recommend it enough. The surgery was seamless. I felt like I could go out hanging out with buddies the night of surgery. There felt like almost no recovery time. And now I'm very fortunate for that second surgery because I could breathe pretty dang well, but only in those first 3 months after surgery was I nose breathing in my sleep. No more snoring. My girlfriend was not terrified every night because before, she said I was basically drowning in my sleep. Apnea is when you do this. You're not breathing. Snoring is just like, pleasant sounds, right? But you think it's funny, but it's actually like you're basically struggling to breathe in your sleep. So when I say sleep apnea feels like you're being hung over every morning, it's because it's like you're drowning at the surface of the pool. Like you're just at some shallow water and you're struggling every single night when you should be resting, when your body should be recovering. And so it's very difficult. And again, I feel for anyone out there who has sleep apnea. I'm kind of making this video for you guys specifically because of how much this has already impacted my journey. But I know there's a lot of other benefits with the Homeoblock here. And so, I have the surgery. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I win. Finally, I'm sleeping. 3 months later, it's pretty insane what happened. How I knew that I wasn't okay or that I didn't come out on top of the sleep apnea was that the symptoms came back, and it was really sad to see. I'm living this good life. I'm breathing. I'm working out good. I'm sleeping good, and then all of a sudden, I'm just anxious all the time. I was just sitting there, at a desk, in my car, at a red light, for no reason. All of a sudden, I feel, again, this, shortness of breath, and I'm, anxious, and I'm irritable. I remember after the second nose surgery, when I was breathing and sleeping, my girlfriend said I was, kinder. I was, effortlessly kinder. I felt happier. I felt lighter mood. They say breathing and sleep apnea, it all is hand in hand with depression and, anxiety as well, of course. And so I was irritable, I was anxious, I was sleep deprived, the circles under my eyes were even deeper than they are now. Again, I was out with friends last night, but it's not far off from what I normally look like in the mornings. We'll see what happens in a few months when I keep updating you guys on this video series here. We'll see if I have any facial changes, but anyways, the reason I was looking into the Homeoblock was basically because I saw my life with clear, effortless nasal breathing and sleep. And then I saw the decline from there. And I was like, I can't live like this. I can't live this way for the rest of my life. Like, I know a better life exists for me because I had experienced it. I remember looking in the mirror and just feeling like a different person. And so that was unfortunate to realize, the journey was not over, but I am super fortunate to have somehow come across this thing here. I'm curious what brought you here. If you've heard about the Homeoblock and you're watching this video now, let me know in the comments what brought you here. Why do you want it, and how did you hear about it? Because for me, it was some random internet stranger who kind of like chucked the idea on me when I was posting online, like, has surgery ever benefited anybody with snoring and sleep apnea? And I get no responses, and some stranger says, look into the Homeoblock. And that was basically it. And so I look into it, and there's a pretty amazing presentation that I will link in the description here. And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it sounded like everything I needed in my life. Like I said before, by opening your palate, you're going to open your airway in your nose. And by doing that, you're going to help with sleep apnea. There's other reasons to get the Homeoblock. I think one of the only video series here on YouTube that I see is like a 2-post little thing from Stephen Hopkinson, and he talks about how he has like a disc out of place in his spine or something, like, the snowball effect, right? If one part of your health is deteriorating, that's going to cause other parts of your health to start deteriorating. And so for him, he went and wanted to get a Homeoblock because of like an unaligned back and like headaches or something like that. And again, think about it. I'm allergic to a tree, causes underdevelopment in my nose, causes underdevelopment in my jaw, causes smaller airway, causes sleep apnea, causes this guy at a music festival to call me out, like snowball effect. So there's many reasons that you could be interested in this thing, and there's, in my mind, many benefits from starting with the Homeoblock. Again, this is a very impromptu video. I know my mind is kind of all over the place. I'm honestly just very excited to finally start this thing and be talking to you guys. So I'd love to hear from you, and if you'd love to hear more, just write it in the comments. I can't make any promises that I'll be like staring at my screen all day and getting back to you, but I could take your question into the next video. I know I covered everything like very briefly and talked a lot more about my experience and what led me here, but I will do more research and explain in another video how the Homeoblock works. I'll talk more about the providers if you want. I'll talk about the process of how I got it, what it costs. I'll say it right now, spoiler alert, this thing is not cheap. It was about $7,000. Fortunately, I have insurance that's covering most of it. But I'll talk about anything you guys want to hear. I'm getting pretty hungry, and my mind's not fully there right now. Since this is the first video and I keep talking about it's been 2 weeks, I can say in these 2 weeks, my nose breathing is better than 2 nose surgeries. Better. I don't know if I would have this much of a result from the Homeoblock if it wasn't for those 2 surgeries, especially the last one. The second surgery, they went deeper in a more like anatomical level. They had like addressed the issue there, like rather than like the surface turbinate reduction, they went like deeper, and there was like some pockets blocking my inner airways that they had opened up, and so maybe that helped with the results I'm seeing. But aesthetically, my girlfriend says my face seems longer. I know some people will want the Homeoblock for purely aesthetic reasons, and that's fine too. You can kind of see from my AirPods right now how one is higher than the other. When they took X-rays to give me the Homeoblock, I had found out that my cranium, as they put it, is kind of like tilted at a certain axis. I don't know what level, but one ear is definitely higher than the other. And what the Homeoblock does is they say it helps reach genetic potential. I'm not going to quote anybody on that, but I think I heard that or read that somewhere. And so what that means is with your recessed jaw, that this is supposed to come forward with the added benefit of airways and whatever. But if you want to think about the purely aesthetic perspective, if you look at a model's face, think of like Margot Robbie, like perfect human, like the I don't know, the corners and the angles of her face are wonderful, and there's a difference between somebody with like a recessed like open mouth and then the model like aesthetic of like those eyebrows and the chin, high cheekbones. Apparently, this thing is going to give you higher cheekbones, and the jaw comes forward and whatnot. So there's a lot of benefits there, and I can honestly say in just 2 weeks, I feel I've gotten more looks and compliments than normal, and that is kind of shocking because it's only been 2 weeks. So looks, my sleep has been great. The nose surgery only lasted about 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, I guess if my jaw and my airways are still small, the nose air paths are just going to kind of shrink again. This thing is slowly expanding it. I don't think these results are only going to last 3 weeks in terms of my sleep. I think my sleep is only going to get better from here. I'm having vivid dreams again, like I did after my surgeries. And so nose breathing, sleep, aesthetics, there's a lot to talk about here, and my head's all over the place, so hopefully I'll come back at you guys with more to talk about. And until then, peace, have a good day.